Ladies and gentlemen, there's a woman, a soul walking this earth. She is alone, not by choice, not by fate, but because she knows something that others don't. You see, this woman, she is not broken. She's not lonely, she's not abandoned, she is power. She is the quiet force that doesn't need the approval of others, because she's built a power within herself that is untouchable. She walks alone, and with every step, the world trembles. Now let me tell you this. Being alone isn't a punishment. It's not a curse. It's not a sad story. It is a privilege that only a few dare to claim. A privilege that, for so long, has been twisted by society to make you feel like something's wrong with you if you walk without a crowd. If you're not surrounded by people constantly, there's something missing, something you're lacking, some piece of the puzzle you failed to find. But let me make something crystal clear right here, right now. Walking alone is not weakness. It is a statement of strength. It is the ultimate testament to your inner power, to your ability to stand on your own, to take the path less traveled, to carve out your own destiny, even when no one else is walking beside you. And for that reason, this woman who walks alone with no friends, is unstoppable. Do you think she hasn't cried in the dark? Do you think she hasn't experienced the harsh sting of judgment, the burning shame of not fitting in? She has felt it. Oh, she has felt it deeply. Every day she's faced with the whispers, the looks, the conversations behind her back, the whispers about why she doesn't belong, why she doesn't need others to make her whole. She's faced rejection, exclusion, loneliness. But she's also faced something far more powerful. The chance to know herself, to truly see who she is when there's no one else around to tell her who she should be. Think about this. There's a unique magic in solitude. It's in the stillness that you hear the loudest truths. There's no noise, no distraction. No one else's opinions are clouding your thoughts. In those moments of silence, the world gives you space to hear your own heart. And that, my friends, is where you find the answers to all your questions. The woman who walks alone is not afraid of that silence. In fact, she thrives in it. She understands that in those empty spaces, she's filling herself with strength, courage, clarity, and vision. You see, while others are busy searching for fulfillment in other people, she is building the most powerful relationship anyone can ever have, the one with herself. I want you to imagine her for a moment, this woman. She's walking through life, but she's not walking aimlessly. No, she's walking with purpose, with intention. She knows exactly where she's headed, because every step she takes brings her closer to who she's meant to be. She doesn't need a crowd of people cheering her on, because her confidence comes from the fire she's built within herself. She doesn't need to conform, to shrink herself to fit into some box that the world wants to put her in. She is wild. She is free. She is unapologetically her. She has no friends, no companions, at least not in the way the world defines them. But trust me when I tell you, she has everything she needs. She has her purpose. She has her dreams. And most importantly, she has herself. She is everything she ever needed to be. And that is where her power comes from. Let me tell you something about independence. It is not easy. It is not something you can just walk into without scars, without sacrifices. It is hard, but it is worth it. And every day this woman walks alone, she's strengthening herself. She's fighting battles no one sees, overcoming obstacles no one knows about. She's facing demons, inner turmoil, the battles that no one else can fight for her. But every time she does, she gets stronger. Every time she survives, she becomes more untouchable. She is not worried about whether or not people like her. She doesn't need to be validated. She doesn't need external love or attention to prove her worth. Her worth comes from her actions, her growth, her ability to stand tall in a world that tries to knock her down. She walks alone because she is not afraid of the world's rejection. She is not afraid of standing out. She is not afraid of being different. In fact, she celebrates being different. She relishes in it, because she knows that the most powerful people in history didn't walk the same path as everyone else. They didn't follow the crowd. They were the ones who had the strength to walk alone, to be misunderstood, to be rejected, and still rise above it. The most extraordinary people on this planet were once the ones standing in solitude. They were the ones who saw the world for what it truly was, an open canvas, waiting for them to paint their own picture, create their own rules, shape their own destiny. The woman who walks alone is not looking for permission. She's not asking for approval. She doesn't need anyone's validation. She knows that the only voice that matters is her own. She listens to herself. She trusts herself. She believes in herself. And when you trust yourself, when you believe in your own power, the universe starts to bend in your favor. People start to notice. Opportunities begin to appear, not because you're searching for them, but because your energy has changed. Your self-belief has radiated outward, and now the world is responding to the strength you've cultivated within. She's been through the storms, the moments of doubt, the times when she wanted to give up. But giving up was never an option for her. She knew that the pain she felt, the loneliness she experienced, was just a stepping stone, just a moment in the journey. And let me tell you this, there will always be moments when you feel like the weight of the world is too much to carry. There will be times when you question yourself, when you feel like no one understands you, when it seems like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck. But it's in those very moments of challenge that you find your strength, your resolve. You see, the woman who walks alone has learned the most valuable lesson anyone can learn. You are enough. You have everything within you to create the life you want. You do not need external validation. You do not need anyone to complete you. You are whole as you are. And when you accept that truth, when you realize the power of your own independence, nothing, no one, can stop you. So let me ask you, are you ready to walk alone? Are you ready to take that step into the unknown, to trust that within you lies everything you need? Are you ready to stop waiting for the approval of others, to stop seeking validation in the eyes of your friends, your family, or society? Are you ready to trust that the silence you feel now is not loneliness, but the sacred space where your power is being built? Because here's the thing, the woman who walks alone will always be misunderstood by those who don't have the courage to walk the same path. But the woman who walks alone is also the one who will ultimately change the world. She will build it with her own hands. She will speak her own truth. She will inspire generations to come. So, stop questioning your journey. Stop second-guessing the path you've chosen. You don't need anyone else to tell you that you are worthy. The only thing you need is to believe in yourself. Walk alone, stand tall, and know that the power you seek has always been within you. There's something incredibly powerful about walking alone. It's a concept that many are reluctant to embrace, often misunderstood by those who haven't yet discovered its depth. The woman who walks alone, particularly in a world that pushes for connection and social interaction, embodies a strength that others may not immediately see. She is not weak, nor does she lack purpose. On the contrary, her solitude reveals a hidden power that most will never fully understand. Walking alone isn't an indication of something being wrong with her. It is an affirmation of her strength, resilience, and an inner sense of autonomy that refuses to be shaped by the expectations of others. When you walk alone, you are forced to face yourself. There are no distractions, no external voices telling you who you should be or what you should want. Instead, you are left with nothing but your thoughts, your desires, and your inner voice. This is where the strength is found. It's in those moments of silence, when everything around you falls away, that you are forced to confront your own identity. Who are you when no one else is around to influence you? What do you want? when you aren't measuring your goals against the dreams and desires of those around you. It is in these moments of solitude that you begin to truly understand yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your most authentic desires. There is a great deal of growth that occurs when you are alone. While the world might look at this woman and pity her, seeing her isolation as a sign of something missing, they fail to recognize the profound transformation that happens in solitude. The woman who walks alone learns to be self-sufficient. She doesn't wait for others to tell her what to do, to approve of her decisions, or to give her permission to move forward. She relies on herself. She doesn't need external validation to know that she is valuable. She is enough on her own, and that realization becomes a foundation that she builds her life on. There's immense power in being able to trust yourself, to know that no matter the challenges ahead, you have the strength to face them alone. This independence doesn't mean that she is devoid of emotions, or that she doesn't yearn for companionship. It means that she has learned to survive without it. She knows that she can thrive even when the world around her seems cold or indifferent. She walks alone because she has learned that the power to live a meaningful life lies not in the validation of others, but in her ability to stand tall by her own conviction. She doesn't need to be surrounded by people to feel fulfilled. In fact, she thrives in the moments when she is by herself, because this is when she can fully tap into her own potential, when she can focus entirely on her growth without the distractions or compromises that often come with being part of a social group. In solitude, she has the freedom to explore her own interests and passions, free from the influence of others. She has the liberty to follow her own path, to create a life that is true to her unique desires. This kind of independence forces growth in ways that constant companionship can't. The woman who walks alone doesn't have the luxury of relying on others for support, so she becomes resourceful. She learns to solve problems on her own, to navigate obstacles without looking for someone to help her. She becomes her own source of strength, and in this process, she builds an unshakable foundation of self-confidence. There's something deeply transformative about the solitude that comes with walking alone. It's not a state of loneliness, it's a state of self-reflection and self-discovery. The woman who walks alone has the rare opportunity to explore what truly matters to her, without the pressure of societal expectations or the need to conform to someone else's idea of success or happiness. This is when she can fully explore her potential, test her limits, and become the person she was always meant to be. The beauty of walking alone is that it offers clarity. While the world around us is often noisy, filled with distractions and opinions, solitude offers an opportunity to hear your own voice more clearly. In the silence, you can hear the desires of your heart, the whispers of your soul, and the deep knowing that comes from within. This is where creativity thrives, where innovation is born, and where the deepest truths of life are revealed. The woman who walks alone has the space to listen to herself, to reflect, and to create a life that is uniquely hers. It is in this solitude that the woman finds her inner power, a power that grows with each step she takes. She walks not with fear, but with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that she doesn't need anyone else to validate her existence. She knows her worth, and she understands that walking alone doesn't mean she is lacking. Rather, it means she is whole, complete, and empowered in her own right. Walking alone is not a curse. It is the key to unlocking a life filled with authenticity, self-discovery, and unshakable strength. When a woman walks alone, she embarks on a journey that is uniquely hers, a path of self-discovery that many others will never experience. In the absence of a crowd, in the stillness of solitude, she is given the rare opportunity to truly understand who she is. This process of self-discovery is far more profound than simply figuring out what you like or dislike. It is about peeling back the layers of who you've been told to be, the roles you've been expected to play, and the labels you've worn throughout your life. It is about finding, deep within yourself, your authentic identity, the version of you that is free from judgment, comparison, or influence. Walking alone creates a space for introspection and reflection. When there is no one around to distract you, you are left with only your own thoughts. And it is in this space that you can begin to ask yourself the important questions that can lead to significant personal growth. Who am I really, beyond the roles I play for others? What do I truly want out of life, not what others expect or desire for me? How do I see the world, and how do I fit into it? These questions may seem simple on the surface, but they hold the power to reshape your entire existence. The woman who walks alone has the time and the space to answer these questions, to explore the depths of her soul without the noise of outside opinions. Without the influence of others, she is able to break free from the societal constructs that often dictate who she should be. From a young age, many women are told how they should behave, what they should aspire to, and who they should associate with in order to be successful or acceptable. But when a woman chooses to walk alone, she steps outside the boundaries of these expectations and is free to define herself on her own terms. She does not need to measure her worth against anyone else's standards. Instead, she becomes her own compass, trusting her intuition and following the path that feels true to her heart. In solitude, she can discard the layers of societal pressure and begin to understand who she really is beneath the surface. The process of self-discovery is not always easy. It is often messy and uncomfortable, because in order to truly know yourself, you must confront parts of yourself that you may have hidden away for a long time. You may face aspects of your personality that you've avoided or suppressed, parts of you that don't fit the image others have of you. These confrontations can be painful, but they are necessary for growth. The woman who walks alone has the courage to look into the mirror and see herself fully, flaws, fears, dreams, and all. She accepts the entirety of who she is, not just the polished parts that others admire. And through this acceptance, she finds empowerment. As she navigates this journey of self-discovery, she learns to trust herself in a way that is rare in today's world. Society often pushes people to look outward for validation, to seek approval from others in order to feel secure in who they are. But the woman who walks alone learns that true security comes from within. She stops seeking the approval of others because she understands that her worth is inherent. It is not dependent on the opinions of friends, family, or strangers. It is grounded in her own understanding of who she is and the value she places on her own existence. Walking alone also gives her the chance to reconnect with her passions, desires, and aspirations. When you are constantly surrounded by other people, their wants and needs can often overshadow your own. You may find yourself sacrificing your own happiness or neglecting your own dreams in order to meet the expectations of others. But when you are alone, you are no longer bound by these compromises. You are free to explore what truly excites you, to chase the dreams that have always lived in your heart, but that you may have ignored for fear of judgment. The woman who walks alone has the time and space to rediscover these passions, to reignite the spark within herself that may have been dimmed over the years. Through self-discovery, she gains clarity. The confusion and uncertainty that often cloud her vision when she is constantly surrounded by others begin to clear. In solitude, she finds direction. She begins to understand her purpose more clearly. She no longer feels the need to follow the paths laid out by others, but instead creates her own. She defines success for herself, not as a number on a paycheck, not as a title or a social standing, but as a fulfillment of her own personal goals and desires. She recognizes that her life is her own to shape, and she embraces that power wholeheartedly. But the process of self-discovery does not end when she gains clarity. It is ongoing. Every day as she walks alone, she continues to learn new things about herself. The woman who walks alone evolves, adapts, and grows. Each experience, each moment of solitude adds another layer to her understanding of herself. She becomes more attuned to her emotions, more aware of her strengths and weaknesses, more in touch with her deepest desires. This journey of self-discovery is a continuous one, and it is the very thing that empowers her to walk through life with confidence and purpose. Ultimately, the woman who walks alone is not just learning about herself in isolation, she is forging a deeper connection with the world around her. As she understands who she is, she becomes more attuned to her interactions with others and her place in the larger story of humanity. She learns that in order to truly connect with others, she must first understand and love herself. And it is in this profound self-awareness that she can begin to form relationships that are meaningful and authentic. Relationships based on mutual respect, shared values, and a deep understanding of one another. Through her journey of self-discovery, the woman who walks alone not only finds herself but also creates a life that reflects her true essence. It is a life that is uniquely hers, shaped by her own experiences, dreams, and choices. And in that, she finds a sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment that cannot be given to her by anyone else. She becomes the author of her own story, living it out loud, unapologetically, and with the quiet strength that comes from knowing exactly who she is. There is a peculiar and often difficult path that a woman who walks alone must tread, one where she constantly challenges and defies the social norms and expectations placed upon her by society. Society at large has a very defined idea of how a woman should behave, who she should be, and how she should conduct herself. The world often suggests that to be complete, to be successful, a woman must be surrounded by friends, constantly engaged in social networks, and reliant on others for emotional support, validation, and even happiness. When a woman chooses to walk alone, to carve her own path, she directly confronts these societal pressures. She chooses to live outside the rigid boxes that society has constructed for women, daring to be independent in a way that many can't fathom. To walk alone as a woman is to challenge this deeply ingrained belief that women are somehow incomplete without the constant company of others. From a very early age, women are often conditioned to believe that they need a strong social circle to validate their worth. The more friends they have, the more popular they are perceived to be, the more they are accepted. They are taught that a woman's success is measured by the quality and quantity of her relationships, especially her friendship. If a woman is seen walking alone, society quickly labels her as isolated, misunderstood, or worse, lonely. It's as if the very act of walking alone is a direct challenge to the cultural narrative that says a woman must be surrounded by others to truly succeed or be happy. But the woman who walks alone is not driven by the need to conform. She's aware of the societal biases that will be cast upon her, and yet she chooses her own path. She doesn't need to fit the mold that society has set for her. She's learned that the essence of her worth is not tied to the number of people in her life, nor is it defined by how many people choose to walk beside her. The woman who chooses solitude is not seeking approval or social validation. Instead, she is carving out a space for herself in a world that often demands conformity. She challenges society's idea of happiness and success, choosing instead to find her peace in her own company and in the fulfillment of her own goals. There is an unspoken courage that comes with defying these societal expectations. Women who walk alone often face judgment, not just from strangers, but from close friends and family, who may not understand the path they have chosen. They may hear questions like, "Why are you always alone?" or "Don't you get lonely?" The pressure to conform to the social norms is immense, and it can be exhausting. It takes a woman who is truly secure in herself to navigate these judgments without losing sight of her personal mission. She understands that the loneliness she might experience is not an indication of her inadequacy, but rather a reflection of the space she is creating for herself to grow and evolve. Moreover, there's often an underlying assumption that a woman who walks alone is somehow incapable of forming meaningful relationships. Society tells us that a woman who spends time by herself is missing out on the communal bonds that supposedly make life worth living. But the reality is that walking alone doesn't mean she is incapable of love or companionship. It simply means that she refuses to settle for anything less than genuine connection. The woman who walks alone understands that true friendship and meaningful relationships are not about numbers or surface-level interactions. She values depth over breadth and seeks out relationships that align with her values, her goals, and her sense of self. In a world that often pushes for constant social interaction and validation, the woman who walks alone is forced to redefine what relationships mean to her. She understands that people may come and go, and while it is important to maintain connections, it is not the quantity of friends that defines her life's success. She seeks relationships that are authentic, where mutual respect and shared values are at the core, not merely based on societal expectations of friendship. By walking alone, she creates the space to choose her circle more carefully, ensuring that the people in her life truly contribute to her growth rather than hinder it. This courage to walk alone is a form of rebellion against a culture that pressures women to conform to a standard of social connectivity. She defies the very notion that women need to be constantly surrounded by people to be happy or successful. Her choice to walk alone is an act of liberation. She frees herself from the chains of societal expectations and explores her own potential without distraction. It is a rebellion against the idea that a woman's worth is tied to her relationships with others. And instead, she stakes her claim in the truth that she is valuable, worthy, and complete, whether she is walking alongside others or walking on her own. By walking alone, she also teaches others that it is okay to step outside the conventional box. She sets an example of self-reliance and confidence, showing the world that it is possible to find fulfillment and meaning on your own terms. It's not about rejecting people or relationships, but rather about rejecting the idea that one must conform to a particular mold in order to be accepted, happy, or valued. She teaches the world that there is power in independence, and that walking alone doesn't equate to weakness or failure. Rather, it signifies strength, clarity, and authenticity. In many ways, the woman who walks alone is paving the way for others to do the same. She's challenging outdated social norms, shedding light on the importance of self-reliance, and demonstrating that a woman's path is hers to create. She stands as proof that true success and fulfillment come from within, and that walking alone can be the most empowering choice she could make. Through this, she rewrites the narrative that society has long dictated, showing that strength, power, and beauty don't come from being part of the crowd. They come from having the courage to walk your own path, no matter how difficult or lonely that path might seem. In conclusion, the woman who walks alone is not defined by the absence of others. Rather, she is defined by her strength, independence, and unwavering commitment to herself. Her journey is one of self-discovery, resilience, and empowerment, where she chooses to embrace solitude not as a weakness, but as a path to uncover her true potential. In the face of societal expectations, she rises above, carving a life that is authentic and meaningful, driven by her own desires and purpose. She shows us that we are all capable of finding power in solitude, that self-reliance is not a form of isolation, but a declaration of independence. To every woman who has chosen to walk alone, may you continue to stand tall in the knowledge that you are enough, that your journey is valid, and that your courage is a beacon for others who dare to walk their own path. And to everyone listening, remember that whether you walk alone or with others, the power lies in the conviction of your choices and the belief in your own worth. Thank you for your time and attention. May you all find the strength to walk your path with confidence, courage, and unwavering belief in the power that lies within you. Good luck in all your endeavors, and remember, you are never truly alone as long as you trust yourself and your journey.